In this video, I'm going to discuss the common mistakes people do when they get into the residential assisted living space, the group home space, the behavioral space, and the real estate space within this industry. So if you're interested, make sure to stick around. What is going on, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. If you're new here, my name is Serge. Welcome to the channel. To all my reoccurring viewers, thank you so much for all the love and support that each and every single one of you have shown me. I hope you all had a happy new year, and I hope you all spent it with your loved ones. And with that being said, if you have not yet, make sure to go check out the God Made podcast on most streaming platforms. Also, feel free to go check out the Legion Assisted Living Academy course. That link will also be down below, and the Facebook group that is for free, and you can go join the Facebook group. And also feel free to check out the mentorship link down below to schedule a one-on-one call with myself. And feel free to also check out valleyalfventures.com, and that is where you can go submit as a limited partner if you're looking to invest passively with us, or if you're an operator who is looking to potentially continue to expand their operations and lease more facilities. You can definitely reach out to us as well through the website, or if you're looking to potentially sell one of your facilities or multiple facilities, reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the topic of this video. There are a lot of common mistakes that are made when people get into this industry. Now, one of the main common mistakes that I often see is the people who have the mentality where they say, let me just dip my toes into this industry. Let me just get my feet wet and see if it actually will work. The problem with this, especially when it comes to this type of industry, is the fact that there's a lot that you're having to do when you get started. There's a lot of moving pieces, and it's not as simple as going and opening a website and throwing some products on there and start marketing them on Facebook ads or whatever the case may be. You're having to get an actual brick and mortar location, so you're having to get the real estate aspect of this entire business. Secondly, you have to go through a rigorous process to actually get licensed and go through a lot of different regulations to get your business up and going. So that's going to be not only costly from a time perspective, but also from a financial perspective. And then on top of that, you're dealing with people's lives. You are having to deal with a bunch of different personalities. You're being able to provide a service within a community where people really need it. And it's not something when you open a place and you're having to shut it down within a couple months or even a year. That is not a good thing, because you're ultimately doing a disservice to the people in your community, and then it ultimately hurts you. And if you have investors or people who get involved with this venture with you, they also lose on that end. And there's all this time that goes into it. You learn a lot from those mistakes, but the people who have that mentality that they're going to just get their feet wet, they're just going to try it out to see if it's something that's worth pursuing, this is not for those people. And there's a lot of people who get into this industry thinking that they can do that. And the reality is you're not going to be successful when you have that mentality. When you get into this field, one thing I've learned is you have to give it your all. You're going to have to think long term with this, whether it be 5 to 10, 15, 20 years. But minimum 5 years. You're going to have to give this a minimum of 5 years. And the reason why I say that is because within the first 2 years is when you're really learning the most. There's a lot of learning curve, and there's a lot of things that you're going to have to expect to do as an owner or as an operator when you first get started. So the first 2 years, you're really just learning. You're really trying to learn the ropes of everything. And then by year 3 or 4, you're then able to handle a lot more and delegate a lot more. And really by year 5, you're stable. What I mean by that, you have the clientele, you have the network, you have the employees, you have all these different pieces to this entire business model. And that is why by year 5, you can either just choose to step away and be more passive with your business. You can choose to go ahead and sell it. You can do a couple different options at that point, but you have to give it a minimum of 5 years. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that because they think 5 years is such a long period of time, but the reality, 5 years is going to go by regardless if you want it to or not. Now, that is the main common mistake that I see, is people looking at this thinking they could just get their feet wet with it, let them do it as a side hustle, which kind of leads me to the second thing. A lot of people on that same topic have another job, or maybe they have another business and they see this as a way to make some more money. They treat it as a side hustle. That will not work at all. The reason why is because, again, it is very time consuming and it does take a little bit of work, actually quite a bit of work and effort to get it up and going. Now, yes, it's a different story when you take over something existing or buy a couple of facilities that you can lease out to other individuals. That's a little different. It's not going to necessarily take as much work, but it still does take a lot of due diligence. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot to get these things going. Now, another thing that I also see a common mistake is with actually people who have been in this industry for a long period of time, and really people who get started as well. But usually this pertains to people who have been in the business for some time. This is they fail to have good systems in place. That is really another common mistake I see in this industry. They really don't have great bookkeeping. They don't have good systems in place with their charting, with their documentation. They don't have a good team of employees and really a good culture in place. The system really does affect their business ultimately, and it affects them personally as well, because they're always having to play catch up. They're always having to fix issues. They're always reacting to things that happen instead of actually being proactive and being ahead of the curve when there might be something that could potentially happen. It's really thinking 5 steps ahead or thinking of their next 5 moves. So this is a common mistake that happens a lot with, and it's still happening to this day. There's a lot of operators that I come across that I speak with, and if you ask them to look at their records, at their financials, at their charting, at their documentation, they're really struggling with that. And they don't take the time to invest in certain systems, in certain charting systems, in certain bookkeeping systems, or hiring a bookkeeper, right? Or hiring an accountant who can handle that stuff, and even HR. I get it, when you have only one facility, it's really hard to just hire that out because your margins are not there to be able to afford all these different things. That is why it's important to scale up. But the only way to scale up is really to have great systems in place. Now, another common mistake that I see, and it's really not one that I think people do on purpose or necessarily just kind of neglect, but it's really financial, right? They don't have the funds to be able to properly start this. People oftentimes try to get away with doing the bare minimum when it comes to the funds. They think, well, let me skim on this, let me skim on that. And then ultimately what happens is you're running on such razor thin margins that it's ultimately affecting your business. You're not able to provide the proper care, the proper things within your facility, and even for your staff to get them the right equipment, to get them the right setup that they need to be able to invest properly into your business, into your properties, to get them to where they need to be to provide the best care possible. This is a common mistake I see very often, which leads to people going under and ultimately having to close down their businesses because of those reasons. And they have a really hard time marketing because they don't have the budget for it. It really comes down to the budget of what they have in mind when they get started. And because of these common mistakes, I see a lot of people get they lose a lot, they make the wrong decisions, and I'm just as guilty of these common mistakes, and that's why I'm talking about them. And it took me a while. I mean, I did refine my systems better. I did able to put these things in place, but that took time for me to learn these things. And even from the funding aspect of it, when I got started, I didn't anticipate how much money it would actually take to get started. I was living on very thin margins. I was having to do a lot of the work myself. I was having to step in as a manager, as the administrator, and run the facilities myself. I couldn't step away from it because I couldn't necessarily afford right away to step away from it. And there's a lot of people who end up getting themselves in that position because of the fact that they didn't think of these things ahead of time. So if you're looking to get into this industry, these are some things you want to keep in mind. And to be honest, give it your all. If you're going to get started, give it your all. Do not think that this is going to be something that you could do part-time or that you could just get your feet wet. Secondly, you want to make sure that you can get the right funding, right? Whether that be, having a home equity line of credit, whether that's going and acquiring, having some cards, credit cards, good credit cards that you could fund some of this that you know you can ultimately pay back. Don't over leverage yourself either. That's a common mistake that happens a lot as well. So just keep that in mind. And these were just some common mistakes I wanted to share with you all. When you guys are looking and doing your research, make sure you factor all of this in. And with that being said, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. If you guys want to have me answer any other additional questions that you may have, make sure to comment them down below, or go join the Facebook group at Legion Assisted Living Academy on Facebook and submit questions on there, and I will answer them in these videos. And I do appreciate all of you who have supported this channel up to this point. And feel free to go check out Legion Assisted Living Academy, and also feel free to check out the mentorship link down below to schedule a one-on-one call if you want to have that one-on-one and ask me more in-depth questions. You can definitely schedule that down below. And also feel free to go check out ValleyALFVentures.com as a limited partner or an operator looking to sell or lease some more properties. And with that being said, I will talk to you all in the next video.